The attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, thrust the United States into World War II, fundamentally altering the global conflict. Almost overnight, the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean became a primary theater of war, marked by relentless aggression and immense strategic challenges. Japan's rapid expansion after Pearl Harbor had established a formidable defensive perimeter across thousands of islands, from the Aleutian Islands to the Solomon Islands. The Imperial Japanese military had dug in, fortifying countless atolls and islands with determined garrisons. These strongholds, often equipped with airfields and naval bases, presented an imposing barrier to any Allied advance. The sheer scale of the Pacific, coupled with the nature of island warfare, demanded an entirely new approach to combat. Initial engagements, such as the brutal fighting on Guadalcanal, demonstrated the immense cost of direct assaults on every Japanese-held island. These early battles highlighted the logistical nightmares, the unforgiving terrain, and the fanatical resistance Allied forces would face. A more efficient, less costly method of reclaiming the Pacific was desperately needed. This necessity gave birth to one of World War II's most innovative and defining strategies: island hopping, or leapfrogging. The island hopping strategy emerged from the combined strategic thinking of two principal Allied commanders in the Pacific, General Douglas MacArthur, leading the Southwest Pacific area, and Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commanding the Pacific Ocean areas. Though they operated in distinct zones, their overarching goal was the same: to progressively advance towards the Japanese home islands while minimizing casualties and conserving precious resources. The core principle of island hopping was deceptively simple yet brilliantly effective. Instead of directly confronting every heavily fortified Japanese position, Allied forces would bypass them. They would identify and seize less defended, but strategically vital islands. These chosen islands would then serve as forward operating bases for airfields and supply depots, enabling the next hop closer to Japan. This strategy aimed to sever Japanese supply lines, isolating and neutralizing vast numbers of enemy troops without engaging them in direct, costly frontal assaults. Bypassed garrisons, cut off from reinforcements and supplies, would effectively wither on the vine. Rendered strategically irrelevant, it was a strategy of strategic patience and surgical precision, designed to exploit the vastness of the Pacific to the Allies' advantage. MacArthur's approach often involved seizing bases along the northern coast of New Guinea and then leapfrogging across the Philippines. Nimitz, conversely, pushed through the Central Pacific, focusing on critical island chains like the Gilbert, Marshall, and Mariana Islands. Despite their different geographical focuses, both commanders shared the vision of an inexorable advance, a relentless tightening of the strategic noose around Japan. The implementation of island hopping began in earnest following the grueling experiences of early campaigns. While the fight for Guadalcanal, from August 1942 to February 1943, was a prolonged attritional battle, it provided invaluable lessons in jungle warfare and amphibious landings. It underscored the need for a new approach, paving the way for the strategic bypass. The Central Pacific Drive, spearheaded by Admiral Nimitz, commenced with the brutal assault on Tarawa Atoll in November 1943. Though small, Tarawa was heavily fortified, and the fierce Japanese resistance resulted in staggering Allied casualties. This battle, a harsh lesson in amphibious assault, informed subsequent landings, leading to improvements in naval bombardment and landing craft coordination. Following Tarawa, Nimitz's forces moved swiftly through the Marshall Islands, seizing Kwajalein and Eniwetok with comparatively lower casualties, demonstrating the evolving effectiveness of the strategy. Airfields captured on these islands allowed for deeper penetration into Japanese territory. The Mariana Islands campaign, including the battles for Saipan, Guam, and Tinian in mid-1944, was particularly significant. These islands provided crucial bases for the new B-29 long-range bombers, bringing the Japanese home islands within striking distance. Concurrently, General MacArthur advanced through the Southwest Pacific. After securing New Guinea, His forces executed daring leapfrogs, bypassing numerous Japanese strongholds. The capture of Hollandia in April 1944, for instance, isolated large Japanese forces further east. His promise to return to the Philippines culminated in the Leyte Gulf landings in October 1944, triggering the largest naval battle in history, the final. Most brutal stages of island hopping were the invasions of Iwo Jima, February-March 1945, and Okinawa, April-June 1945. These battles were not bypass operations but direct assaults on islands deemed essential. For the final invasion of Japan, Iwo Jima provided an emergency landing, strip for damaged B-29s, while Okinawa was envisioned as the staging area for Operation Downfall. Both battles were characterized by fanatical Japanese resistance, extensive tunnel systems, and horrific casualties, foreshadowing the immense human cost of a potential invasion of Japan itself. These campaigns, while intensely costly, demonstrated the Allied determination and capability to seize even the most heavily defended positions. The island hopping strategy, despite its immense human cost, was undeniably effective in achieving its military objectives. It systematically dismantled Japan's vast Pacific Empire, severing its vital supply lines and isolating hundreds of thousands of Japanese troops who were left to starve or surrender, many choosing the latter option only at the very end. The strategic bypass saved countless Allied lives by avoiding direct engagement with deeply entrenched garrisons, while simultaneously accelerating the pace of the advance. Logistically, the strategy was a marvel of planning and execution. The construction of airfields, port facilities, and supply depots on captured islands was often completed at an astonishing pace, enabling continuous forward movement. This logistical prowess allowed the Allies to sustain a relentless offensive across thousands of miles of ocean, an unprecedented feat in military history. However, the human toll was staggering. The battles for islands like Tarawa, Saipan, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa were some of the bloodiest and most brutal of the war. Soldiers on both sides endured unimaginable conditions: fierce combat in dense jungles, subterranean bunkers and volcanic terrain, tropical diseases, and the constant psychological strain of fighting an enemy, often preferring death to surrender. Civilian populations on islands like Okinawa also suffered immensely, caught between warring factions. The success of island hopping significantly weakened Japan's war-making capabilities. It brought American air power, in the form of B-29 bombers, within range of the Japanese home islands, unleashing devastating conventional bombing campaigns. Ultimately, it set the stage for the final act of the war, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the subsequent Japanese surrender. The strategy's long-term geopolitical consequence was the reshaping of power dynamics in the Pacific and the establishment of the United States as a preeminent global power. The strategy of island hopping remains a testament to military ingenuity and adaptability in the face of unprecedented challenges. It showcased the power of combined arms warfare, integrating naval, air, and ground forces in complex amphibious operations. The lessons learned in logistics, intelligence, and psychological warfare from these campaigns continue to influence military doctrine to this day. Beyond the strategic brilliance, it is crucial to remember the immense human sacrifice that underpinned every hop. The courage, resilience, and suffering of millions of soldiers, sailors, marines, and airmen, as well as the civilians caught in the crossfire, must never be forgotten. Each island, from Guadalcanal to Okinawa, holds stories of immense bravery and profound tragedy. The Pacific War, and the island hopping strategy within it, serves as a powerful reminder of the destructive nature of global conflict and the extraordinary lengths to which humanity can be pushed. It is a story of strategic necessity, technological innovation, and unimaginable human endurance, forever etched into the annals of history. It reminds us of the delicate balance between military effectiveness and the preservation of human life. The echoes of these battles continue to resonate, shaping our understanding of modern warfare and geopolitical strategy. To continue exploring the pivotal moments that shaped our world, subscribe and join our community dedicated to uncovering history's most profound lessons. What part of this story resonates with you the most? And what do you believe is the most enduring lesson from the Pacific Island hopping campaign? Share your thoughts in the comments below.